Today we're going to be talking about some albums coming out in 2025 that you should know about. I'm going to be splitting this video up into 3 different sections. The first one is Confirmed. So these are albums that do have release dates. We will be seeing them this year in 2025. The second section is Unconfirmed. These are albums where we know the name of it, but there's just not a confirmed release date yet from the band. And then the third section is going to be Rumored. So these are albums that might get released in 2025. There's talks about it, but it could also have a 2026 release. So my prediction for 2025, I'll be honest, I think that this is going to be the year for the cores. As you remember from 2024, that was the year for death metal. I mean, we literally got so many amazing death metal records, as you saw, and I just do not think we're going to get as many death metal releases this year. I think it's definitely going to be the year for the cores. You're going to metalcore, deathcore. You can throw in gent. You can throw in any major progressive band's release. And I would say thrash. Pretty much anything but death metal. I think it's going to be pretty slim pickings. But I think the cores are really going to dominate this year. So let's first get started with the confirmed albums that are coming out this year, starting with Ginger and their 5th record, Duel. This is coming out on February 7th, and I want you to make a mental note, okay, because February 7th is a major day for releases in 2025. So just keep in mind that that's a big day. But as far as this record from Ginger, I really haven't heard too many people in my circle talk about Ginger in a while. I'm really interested to see how this 5th record does because Wildflowers, their 4th album, was such a huge success for the band. So will this album live up to the hype? We will see. I don't know if I will check it out or not, but you'll have to let me know if you're excited about Duel from Ginger. The next one is, no surprise, it's Dream Theater with Parasomnia. This is also coming out on February 7th. And we knew that Dream Theater was going to come out with something because they had their OG drummer Mike Portnoy rejoin the band in October 2023. So this is not really much of a surprise. I kind of predicted that they would have a record come out at some point in 2024 or early 2025, and that's what we're getting. So this is going to be kind of a beast of an album, I'm not going to lie. It's 8 songs with a runtime of 1 hour and 11 minutes long. So I'm excited to see what Dream Theater brings to the table, and I know a lot of their fans are very excited. Next up, we have Obscura, who's releasing a Sonication also on February 7th. They've released a single called Silver Linings so far. I honestly have never listened to anything, to my knowledge, from Obscura. So maybe that will change with this album. I have heard of this band, but I haven't dove into their discography. So let me know if that's worth kind of taking an adventure in. But this will be their 7th studio album. And you'll just have to let me know if you enjoy this band and if you think later Obscura is worth jumping into. Lacuna Coil will be releasing Sleepless Empire on Valentine's Day, February 14th this year, on Century Media Records. I feel like Lacuna Coil just released a new album, but yeah, apparently they didn't. So this is their 11th studio album, and they've released a ton of singles to promote this record, such as Never Dawn, In the Meantime, and Oxygen. So I'm interested to see how this album stacks up against the rest. I have listened to a little bit of Lacuna Coil. I'm not totally sure how I feel about them, but I probably will check this out because I love a chicken metal, girl. You already know this. Now, this next record is probably going to be a lot of y'all's most anticipated for this year, and that is Killswitch Engage with This Consequence. This is coming out later in February on the 21st via Metal Blade Records. We know Killswitch Engage. They're an amazing metalcore band. I just recently did a 5-song discography on this band in my Patreon. So if you want to join the Patreon and watch that, you should. This was really, really great. We do have Jesse Leach on vocals, their OG singer, and I'm personally really excited about this release. I really enjoyed my reaction to them. I thought it was very fun, very catchy melodies, and Jessie is a really great vocalist, so I'm excited to see what they bring to the table, and it's making me feel like I want to do a deep dive on them because, yeah, I think they're really good. Like I said, I think this is really going to be the year for the cores, especially because we have Spirit Box coming out with their second album called Tsunami Sea. This is coming out on March 7th in 2025. This is personally my most anticipated release so far for 2025. I just love Courtney LaPlante. I love Spirit Box. They give me the, chick metalcore vibes. It's kind of the femininity in the metal scene that I want. So for me, it works, okay? Especially when Courtney LaPlante's got the sassy ponytail girl. I'm here for it, okay? But I was obsessed with their most recent EP, The Fear of Fear. I thought that the messaging, the lyrics of that were beautiful. The branding was so good. And it was such a great mix of what Courtney does best, which is her highs and her beautiful cleans. And it just worked for me. So I'm very excited to see what Spirit Box brings to the table for Tsunami Sea. Next, we have Destruction with Birth of Malice. This is also coming out on March 7th via Napalm Records. So thrash metal from Germany. This will be their first record since 2022. I don't know what people are going to think about this record, honestly, because I don't know how relevant new Destruction is in the metal scene. So again, you're going to have to let me know what you think about that. All I do know is that they have an album on Metal Archives that literally has a 13% rating. So the last band for confirmed dates so far is Arch Enemy, coming out with Blood Dynasty. This is releasing on March 28th via Century Media Records. Alyssa White-Glutz returns, and I love her, but I kind of stopped listening to Arch Enemy after Angela Gossow left. Honestly, I just really liked Angela's voice, but I will be giving this album a listen to because, like I said, I like my chicks in metal, okay? And also I think Alyssa has a great voice too, but I just loved Angela's entire package. I thought that she was great. So I will be listening to this. So let me know what you think about later Arch Enemy. Do you like them? Do you hate them? Now we're going to get into the unconfirmed releases. Once again, these are albums where the band has actually announced the name of the record, but there's just no confirmed release date, but they will be getting a 2025 release. So the first is Black Braid with Black Braid 3. Now, this band has gotten a little bit of a bad reputation over the last few years, especially after the Midgard's Blot Festival, which I think is how you pronounce that. Sorry if it's not. But if you want to hear more about that drama, there's a really great video about that on Boris T's channel, and it's a really great watch because he's more familiar with the festival, and more importantly, he's familiar with the culture in the area surrounding that festival and everything. So it's a good watch if you're interested in that kind of video. But anyway, I think Black Braid musically are okay. I don't think that they're anything super groundbreaking when it comes to black metal. They're Native American black metal if you're not super familiar. I think it's good for a nature walk or a hike or something like that. But as I said, I don't think it's the most groundbreaking. So musically, I'm kind of indifferent with when it comes to this release because I just really don't like the singer. I don't like the singer, girl. I'm sorry, but I don't know. We'll see what Black Braid brings to the table, but I'm not particularly excited. Next up, we have Candlemass releasing Black Star. This is an EP that is supposed to get a May release in 2025, so we will see. Now, Candlemass is a band I tried. I tried with Candlemass. I did do another 5-song discography dive on my Patreon, and I'm going to tell you right now, it was rough pickings. I did chalk it up to just having bad song choices for the reaction because it was really, really rough to get through. So I do like some of the Candlemass vibes, but not really. So we'll see how this Black Star EP goes. As I said with Black Braid, I'm a little indifferent. I'm not the biggest fan, so we'll just kind of see what they bring to the table, but it's not going to be the first thing that I actually listen to. However, I am very excited about this release. Imperial Triumphant is coming out with an album called Gold Star. Now, if you don't know, Imperial Triumphant kind of has a special place in my heart because that was the second metal band I ever listened to. Like right after Cannibal Corpse, I listened to Imperial Triumphant. My bass player at the time was like, this is a jazz metal band. And I was like, yes, sign me up. I want to listen to that. So although I haven't really revisited Imperial Triumphant in a while, this is an album I will be checking out because I just love the entire vibe of Imperial Triumphant with the gold masks, this kind of like jazzy, avant-garde, black metal, just like dark, intense vibe that they have. I just really like it and I think it's very unique. So Gold Star is definitely one that I will be checking out this year and I hope that it's a banger. Next up, we have Portals by Pestilence. I feel like this band has had some very questionable decisions as of late. I really don't know what to expect with this record from Pestilence. If you've been keeping up with what the band's been doing, basically they did a re-recording of one of their older albums that they released last year and it tanked. Like the production was awful, but more importantly, they got bullied so hard on the internet because they used an awful AI art piece for their cover and they're trying to defend the AI art and I don't think anybody's really siding with them, okay? And this Portals album, it's supposed to be a new album. We'll see how it sounds. If you're interested in this Pestilence record, just know there's a 95% chance they're going to have AI art as the cover and I don't know. I don't have high expectations. Do you have high expectations? Let me know in the comments. Lastly on this list, we have Vader with their Humanihility EP. Now, you probably know Vader most likely from their most popular records, such as De Profundis and Litany. But if you're interested, they have this new EP that's coming out. And Patreon has kept pushing me to listen to Vader. So I think I'm going to start with De Profundis because honestly, I've never listened to anything really from Vader unless we did it in like a Twitch listening party. But what do you think about Vader? What do you think about new Vader? Like, is it worth checking out or should I just stick with like De Profundis and Litany era? All right, let's get into some rumored releases. These again are albums that might or might not have a 2025 release. We could also see them in early 2026. The first is, of course, King Diamond with The Institute. So my boy, okay, King Diamond, please release The Institute. The reason why I put this in here is because I learned from the last video that King Diamond is really good about teasing us with albums and projects, and he's been taking his sweet time on The Institute, and apparently, you know, we've been knowing about The Institute title and album for a while, but we haven't really gotten anything from the album until now. So before this video on December 17th, he did release a new single called Spider Lily. Admittedly, I will admit, I haven't listened to it yet, okay? It's New Year's Eve as I'm filming this, so I do need to listen to that. But I haven't listened to it. I've heard some really good positive reviews about it, and I genuinely think it's very, very possible we'll get King Diamond this year because he's now released a single. I was a little on the fence because we had the title, right? And then he went on tour. He went on this big tour and I was like, ooh, we got a tour, right? We got a tour. We got the album name. Now we got the single. So I think I would say maybe in the summer, early fall. That's what my spidey senses are saying. So we'll see. We'll see what King decides to do, right? So Amorphous should be releasing something new, as they were rumored to be in the studio in February of 2024. I haven't really gotten any other updates. I was doing some research, but if they're in the studio in February, they're probably just doing like last minute recording, mixing and mastering. So it could be very possible that we get a record from Amorphous next year. Cradle of Filth also should be getting something around March of 2025. We'll see. I think that this record will also include the rumored collaboration track with Ed Sheeran. And I can tell you right now, I want to listen to that because that tickles my morbidly curious, like, sensors, girl. Okay, I need to know. I need to hear what a Cradle of Filth and Ed Sheeran collab song sounds like. Next up is Bullet for My Valentine. They did enter the studio in November 2024, and in an interview, they said they were currently working on their 8th studio album, and they were hoping for a 2025 release. It could be very likely that they release something. They're going on this massive tour with Trivium in 2025, so be on the lookout for tickets near you if you're interested in seeing them. And yeah, let's see if Bullet for My Valentine releases something. We also have Dismember. This one, however, is a little less likely to be released because in an interview, they just didn't seem to really give too much information about the release. They seemed very excited, but they also mentioned how they're kind of perfectionist. They want it to be really good. So it did not seem very likely that we would get a Dismember record. They haven't released anything since 2008. I wouldn't bank on getting something from Dismember anytime soon. Epica is also set to release a new album in 2025. This follows after Simone Simmons' first solo record. So I think that this is supposed to be a pretty good record. I mean, I love Epica. I love Simone Simmons. They have released a single called Arcana, which you can stream now. I haven't listened to it, I will be honest. I just haven't had the time yet. But Simone says that this album will go back to their roots, which I feel like artists always say that about their new albums if they've been in the industry for like 10 years or at least, and they've released like several albums. They're like, oh, this new album's gonna go back to our roots, man. And I'm like, I just hope the record is beautiful and heavy. That's all I need, Simone. That's all I need. Your favorite band of all time, Five Finger Death Punch, is supposed to release a new album. I have never listened to this band, but I really want to because somebody on Reddit called this band Confederate Butt Rock, and I don't know why, but that just made me want to listen to them more. So I don't know how we feel about Five Finger Death Punch, like a new album from them. I have a relative idea of what some people think about Five Finger Death Punch, and it's not very good. But hey, I know they're your favorite band, so, just so you know, they got a new album coming out. Exodus is also rumored to be releasing something new. I had this in rumored releases in my last year's video for 2024. We still have not gotten anything from Exodus. Sort of. We've gotten a new single, so I think that a new Exodus album is definitely in the cards for this year. They have the new single called Beating Around the Bush, so let me know what you think about that. We'll see if this record finally comes out. I would expect something probably in the summer for Exodus. I don't know why. I feel summer, early fall is a very, very popular time for some of these big bands to release things. So we'll kind of see. Fear Factory is also expected to release a new album in 2025, but we really haven't gotten any updates, no new singles, or any word from the band about a new album. They did do an interview in July of 2024 stating that they would have a classic sounding record coming to fans in 2025. Like I said, bands love to say it's going to go back to our roots, man. It doesn't mean anything to me. It doesn't. I would be interested in a Fear Factory release, though. I think the band is pretty interesting, so let me know what you think. This one I am excited for, and I've been holding out for a new Shadow of Intent release for a while. I don't know why. I really don't think we're going to get new Shadow of Intent this year. If anything, it could be later in the fall, but I think early 2026 is a little bit more likely. I don't know why. Intuitionally, I kind of feel that way. But Shadow of Intent released a single in August called Flying the Black Flag. This was a while ago now. This was like 6-7 months now since they released something. But they've also been touring consistently like all year, especially they are doing a tour or did just do a tour with Cattle Decapitation. So they've been doing the part. They've been doing their thing. So I just don't know if they've had any time to like be in the studio or anything. So we'll see if Shadow of Intent releases something. I can tell you right now, if they do, I'm there. Next up is purely just my own prediction, but I could see Cannibal Corpse releasing a new album either later this year in 2025 or early 2026. They've been touring non-stop in 2024. They were doing an entire US tour, then they did an entire UK, like European tour. So I know Cannibal Corpse's pattern though, okay? Between albums, it's usually 2 to 3 years between releases, except of course, you know, Red Before Black going into Chaos Horrific, it was 4 years, but we did have the COVID pandemic lockdown, so nobody was really releasing music at that time. So that doesn't really count. But yeah, at the most, it's been like a 3-year gap between albums. So they just released Chaos Horrific in November, I think, or September of 2023. So it could be very, very likely that we get a fall, end of year Cannibal Corpse release or something in 2026. I just don't know if they had any time in the studio between all of that touring, but I would say, you know, keep your eyes open. As I said, it's gonna be the year for the cores, and if Infant Annihilator comes out with something, then it truly will be the year for the cores. According to Dickie Allen, this new album that they are working on is going to be Y'all the Both times 10. So I have no other information about that other than that quote from Dickie Allen, but I can tell you I am lined up and ready to go for an Infant Annihilator album. I really am. This band was one of the first like deathcore bands I ever listened to on my channel. I have a full reaction of that from a couple of years ago you can watch, and I really enjoyed it. It was very intense from what I remember, and it was just like a fun band that seemed very talented and very goofy in a purposeful way, you know? So I'm here for Infant Annihilator. I don't know. It's kind of like a guilty pleasure at this point. Whitechapel also expected to release something. They should come out with a new album sometime in the spring of 2025. That's been rumored for a little bit. Like I said, deathcore, metalcore is really going to shine. We also have Between the Buried and Me, but honestly, who knows if they're going to release something, because there's been a lot of band drama recently with Between the Buried and Me, especially with Dusty and the whole lawsuit thing. So, however, on Reddit, there's a few people that have said like Dusty is, reposting some Between the Buried and Me stuff on his social media. So who knows if they're on good terms or not. It's kind of just going to depend on whether the band can, make amends with each other or if they replace Dusty and just get a new guitarist, right? So it's kind of up in the air. I wouldn't expect a Between the Buried and Me release at this point. Deftones is also supposedly supposed to release a new album in 2025. The band finished recording the bulk of their 10th studio album in early 2024. So they do have a fresh tour in 2025 that they'll be headlining. So I would expect that a early release in 2025 or sometime in the summer for a new Deftones record could be very possible, especially because if they're going on this headlining tour, what better way than to release a new album and then go on this headlining tour, girl? So I would expect that Deftones will announce something about the album or release a single after the holiday season kind of calms down, because we know January is a very, very, very slow month for everybody, like across the board. So I would expect maybe something in later January or February when bands start releasing stuff. Finally on this list, I put Stabbing as a possible band that we get a release from. And this is kind of purely just a hypothesis of mine, a hope, I guess you could say. But if they do release an album, this would be their sophomore record. Now, they did just sign with Century Media Records, so they're no longer with Comatose, unfortunately. But the reason why I think we could really see a release from Stabbing is because Century Media is going to want Stabbing to release something ASAP-rooney, right? You sign a big record label like that, they're going to expect a release from you. I would expect either, again, a later summer, fall release, or maybe something in early spring of 2026. They haven't released a full-length album in a long time. So I do know that they're performing with Aborted and Peeling Flesh in early 2025. So I'm excited. Anyway, y'all, that's going to do it for my list on albums that are releasing in 2025 that you should know about. If there's anything that I missed, let me know down below in the comments what you are most excited for or any releases that I missed. And yeah, I will see you in the next video. Take care, you guys.